And that's the ballgame, folks. TikTok ban upheld by Supreme Court in ruling transforming digital media landscape. The justices, in a ruling issued on Friday, concluded that the law isn't a direct conflict with the First Amendment because it's aimed at the TikTok's ownership of the company alleged to be controlled by China rather than its free speech rights. Yes, it was very clever how you all formed it that way. It's worked. Your plan has worked beautifully. And this, of course, is because government officials and lawmakers have repeatedly said TikTok poses a national security threat due to its ties to ByteDance. Thus far, they've offered no evidence that the company has provided user data to the Chinese government or that it's been directed to influence the content users see on the platform. They just go, no, ByteDance is owned by the Chinese government, only it's not. ByteDance was founded by Chinese entrepreneurs, two of them, but ByteDance is a privately held global company, roughly 60% owned by global institutional investors, such as BlackRock, General Electric, and Susquehanna International Group. I butchered that. 20% owned by the company's founders, that would be those two aforementioned entrepreneurs, and 20% owned by its employees. So the two guys who are Chinese citizens, who are not members of the Chinese government in any way, own only 20%. And somehow, the whole company, despite the fact that all of our data is held in the U.S., despite the fact that U.S. companies own the majority of ByteDance, somehow they're going to give it to the Chinese government. So what does this mean? It's not like they can zap the app off of your phone. What the law basically says is that web hosting services and mobile app stores will be barred from carrying TikTok. They'll be fined if they don't. So it's not as simple as it just won't be available in the App Store. They're also saying if you're a web provider and you allow access to that, you can be fined. Biden administration has says we're not going to enforce fines for the 36 hours we have left once it goes into effect. That'll be up to Donald Trump and his administration. Now, there are murmurs that Trump would issue an executive order suspending enforcement for 90 days, but we don't know if he can do that or will do that. It would give ByteDance time to explore options for ownership and even clarifying what that means. Like, the 150 million Americans on TikTok makes up like 10% of its user base. They're not going to sell all of TikTok to someone else. If the issue is just America, can they sell like our data to an American-held company and they don't have access to it? Does that solve the problem? None of this has been clarified. It was just a bunch of old fogies going like, sell it, Chinese bad. But Trump possibly stepping in pissed off a few people, namely a Democratic senator from Connecticut.
ByteDance is beholden to the demands of the Chinese government. It is controlled by the Chinese government, and it in turn controls TikTok. Do you agree that ByteDance's control, ownership, exploitation of TikTok is a threat to American national security?
Senator, this is pending litigation within the Department of Justice.
Yeah, that was Senator Dick Blumenthal of Connecticut hounding Pam Bondi about will you enforce this because he wants it gone. Incidentally, he is one of the wealthiest members of Senate with a net worth of over $100 million. Are you shocked that the dude who's worth over $100 million doesn't give a fuck how many small businesses will shut down if TikTok goes away, doesn't care how many people make passive or even direct income from it, the impact it will have on the U.S. economy? He doesn't care about any of that. Oh, and before the trolls get in the comments, I'm fine with TikTok being gone. Like, it's not going to hurt me. I have large followings elsewhere. I make my money other ways, okay? So you can find me on Instagram or Threads or Twitter or Blue Sky or YouTube. I'm there. I'm going to be fine. But a bunch of people aren't, and it pisses me off. And when American politicians don't listen to the people and shit on them, it pisses me off. So there's a few people who this whole thing has put on a list for me. And if this guy, who's 78 years old, by the way, plans to run again for office, whoever runs against him should reach out so we can show him what kind of power social media has in influencing things like that when you don't go with the will of the people.